I know I said I'll never speak on the matter again, but I thought, fuck it. This is important information and historical information. What people don't realise is sex and gender have always been separate, and both have always been on a spectrum. And also, sexuality has always been spectral. What's ironic is mainly religion of Abrahamic origin, not science, that made it all binary. All science is doing today is restoring it to what nature intended, not what religion intended. Since man came into existence, there's always been LGBT. It's just they didn't have labels for it because it was considered normal. Sex and gender are separate, and both are socially and biologically separate and spectral. What I've learnt from my studies in the occult is the reason why science, or some scientists, have survived the trials it did, is because it had to appease the church, who were in control of. Well, today they're no longer as powerful or influential as they were back then. So science can now speak up. But even in the modern age, the Roman Catholic Church is turning to science, becoming more scientific, and even the current Pope is speaking up for the LGBT. And this whole thing isn't some ideology invented by a paedophile called John Money. It's actually, it's just simply simply existed since the dawn of time, and that a group of experts, scientists and scholars, etc., have tried to restore back to the way it was, because it was religion that made everything binary. And reason why John Money sticks out is because, one, he was one of the scholars involved in all these workings and stuff, and he was a paedophile. And they figured, well, he sticks out the most. We could use that as ammunition to attack this thing that's going on. The only thing he was only really credited for was a paper called Gender Roles. Not sex or gender, but gender roles. One of the main scholars that stands out and also helped make it official within the academic world wasn't John Money. It was actually a guy called Robert J. Stoller. So people need to drop that bullshit as well, because it has fuck all to do with John Money. He was just a scholar, one of many scholars that were involved. I said in general, people need to understand this, because as always, there's always been more than one gender. Sex and gender have always been separate, and both of them have been spectral. It was like that in Native American cultures. It was like that in ancient Egypt. It's been like that for thousands of years, until, say, the Edwardian or Victorian times, when they forced this binary of Adam and Eve, and only man and woman can be in love, and all sorts of shit. So I just want to make that very clear, because it needs to be said. It needs to be repeated until people understand it in here. Because the thing is, like I said, the only way a lot of scientists or science, during, say, the Renaissance, etc. period, all that time, when science was trying to break into society, they had to appease the church, or they would be burnt to the stake. So, despite any new discoveries, argument's sake, gravity, they had to credit it to a divine source, or to say it was God. Otherwise, they could be burnt as heretics. And like I said, all science is trying to do is restore the facts, to restore the truth, to restore how nature intended things and how things are meant to be, and not what some dogmatic establishment is or has dictated, and that's what people need to understand.